How are you, honey? How are you feeling this morning?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like I went out with a bang.
You sure did.
I really did do my best this weekend, and I felt that I gave it my all on the sing-off. So, yeah, I think I've gone out on quite a positive note.
I think you have as well. But how does a wee lassie called Anna Georgette, who does ballet, who, you know, has little ballet classes, how does she end up as Honey G, the rapper?
Well, I mean, basically, you know, I've come from a musical background the whole of my life. My mum's a pianist.
We saw her, didn't we, Dan? We saw her performing with you,
Yeah,
on
she was
Saturday.
great.
That must have been brilliant, actually.
Yeah, that was on my VT, yeah. I've grown up as a musician the whole of my life. I've got a degree in music production and composition. I've been involved with BBC Radio 1 Extra, which is the UK's biggest black music radio station, pretty much since it was founded. I've been into rap the whole of my life. I've been producing for about 15, 20 years, and I've been rapping for about 4 or 5 years. So me being in part of music has been the whole of my life.
Right.
I've grown up with instruments. So, yeah.
So this wasn't like, honey, this wasn't like a novelty thing. This wasn't like a joke act, because that was, I think, how people were getting a little bit confused, and I was kind of not quite sure. I kept saying, I don't get it. I don't get it. But actually, what you've just said there, you know, you've been doing it for a long, long time.
Yeah, most definitely. Literally, you know, the whole of my life since I was very young. I grew up singing to like blues and like R&B records, and you know, literally just like singing along to like rap albums like the Snoop Dogg Doggy Style album. So I was just saying the other day, whilst everyone when they were younger was listening to Backstreet Boys, I was like really busy, you know, memorising the Snoop Doggy Dogg album.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Dan and I were talking about this earlier on. You handled the whole situation Saturday night with that stage invasion very, very well. I saw Simon got up out of his seat and came over to see you. What did he say to you? Was he really worried about you?
He wanted to see if I was okay.
Sure.
Yeah, he just asked me if I was all right. And I said, yeah, don't worry, Simon, I'm fine. So,
because we were worried, weren't we? I mean, everybody was. It's quite scary, isn't it?
And as we were just saying as well, they pretended to have injuries to get into the studio, didn't they, honey? It was a well-planned operation.
Yeah, we were like told that they pretended to sort of like be disabled.
Better singers are getting booted out and you're still there.
Yeah.
I would imagine, hopefully, they try to protect you from a lot of that. But how do you deal with that? Because it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's got to the point where, you know, if I ever do see anything negative online now, I just don't bother clicking on the links because, you know, I know that if I read, you know, things that I don't want to read, it might, you know, obviously maybe upset me. So I'm at the point now where I just don't take any notice of it anymore.
That's the best thing to do, isn't it? It's all you can do, for goodness sake. Just look at the nice ones. You've got a massive following with young kids. Young kids seem really drawn to you. Has it always been like that?
Yeah, and this is one thing that, you know, I love being Honey G so much, because I love kids so much. It makes me so happy to make kids happy. And especially some of them are just so young. You know, their mothers are like filming them, you know, dancing in front of the television. Yeah. Exactly, and then posting their videos on Twitter of them just like dancing and stuff, or, you know, doing the Honey G chant. And it's just so amazing for me, you know, it's lovely.
And you know, Lorraine, I can reveal this morning that if you think this is the end of Honey G, you will be mistaken, because I've been told by some of the top bosses at Psycho that they do believe that potentially there could be a commercial proposition here for a future music career.
You've been the person that everybody's been talking about the most. I mean, so has it achieved? Was there a plan? Did you think to yourself, I'm going to go on X Factor, everybody's going to see what I can do? Well, did you have a careful plan there?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, the main reason why I entered X Factor was because I really want a record deal. Yeah. You know, you know, I'm not really interested in anything else apart from getting signed, you know, to get a record deal. Obviously, you know, hopefully with Psycho, you know, I know the team really well now. We get on really well and we're all friends. So it would be lovely, obviously, to be signed by them. Because obviously the relationship is already in place.
There. Of course, that makes total sense. Is there a Mr. Honey G?
No, I'm single.
Oh, looking for love maybe, because hey, now you know you're going to be, there'll be loads of people. They'll be queuing up, Honey G.
Yeah, I mean, I am looking for love. I really want to have kids soon. And, you know, obviously I just really want to hopefully, you know, get a long-term partner before I decide to, you know, have kids. So, yeah, you know, possibly, hopefully marriage one day as well. You know, you never know.
Who knows? Who knows?
Exactly.
Who knows?
And is Sharon all right? Because it's been a little bit crazy over some of the series, honey. Has she been good to work with?
Sharon is probably one of the most unbelievable people I've ever met. Oh. And I said this to her last night. No one in my whole life has ever stuck up for me the way that she did last night on that panel, you know, when the judges were ready to make their decision. And I'll never, ever forget that, how good she's been to me. You know, she even sent me a message last night saying, you know, that's it now, we're friends for life, you know.
Oh, that's lovely. That's really good. Honey G, you've convinced me. You brought me round.
Brilliant.
You said this you would.
Yes.
I think you're great, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Completely done. I completely changed my mind. She's great. If you'd like to see even more great guests, then click here. There are plenty more fantastic interviews to come, so make sure that you subscribe.